So we're here to talk about the Potten End buzz bomb that you had.
The Doodlebug.
The Doodlebug, indeed.
Yes, it was, right. Well, all I can say is that I think it was probably 44. You'd probably be able to correct me on this one.
Yes, because
when they started, the V1 was 44.
yeah, it started just a week after D-Day. So that must have been quite a shock to the system. Because of course you'd obviously just heard the reports of the D-Day offensive on June 6th.
Yes.
And then a week later, the V1 started to be launched.
Right.
June 13th was the first one that's recorded in London.
Was it? Yes.
Yes, and there were 9,000 odd that were sent over.
Sure.
In about 3 months.
Yeah.
But they kept going all the way through.
Yes, well I heard several of them because they had this amazing engine going, dunk, 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 just like that. And well, my story was, the Potten End one was that I was only playing in Martin's Pond, which is Potten End Pond.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether I was paddling, I may have been with my wellies on, probably getting minnows and things like that, because I spent ages playing around there.
Mm.
And suddenly, it must have been the summer, because it was my summer holidays, because I was at prep school then at Berkhamsted, so it would have been August, I'm guessing.
Okay.
But may not have been, but it was probably August. And suddenly you heard dug 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 dug
Oh no,
dug,
the dreaded sound.
and it dead over my head.
Cut out.
It cut out. And I knew, I started counting, because I count every flipping thing. Same way that I count 606 blackberries I picked yesterday at St Margaret's, but that's, we made the jelly.
Yes.
But I started counting, and after about 20-25 seconds there was this terrific explosion slightly west of the pond, because it was going from east to west. So I jumped on my red bike, which was leaning against the railings of Martin's Pond, and cycled up through the track past where we were living, Briar, the house was Briar, which we moved on, I was telling you, the 3rd of September,
1939, yeah.
Cycled on for about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 700, 800 yards, coming up to almost Grimm's Ditch. You've heard of Grimm's Ditch,
yes.
Have you? Yes, well it goes along there. Suddenly I could smell fumes.
Oh yeah.
And then I stopped, and it was bracken, of course, this time of the year, it's everywhere. And I pushed a bit further ahead, and I suddenly saw this piece of metal in the bracken. So I'd got off my bike, went over, pushed through the bracken, got hold of the metal. It was warm, but it wasn't really hot. And pulled it out. It was a piece about 2'6" by 2 foot, great lump of bent metal. I thought, souvenir. It is the bit of the smashed Doodlebug.
Yeah.
Picked it up, started getting my bike organised, and suddenly behind me, "What are you doing there, sonny?" It was the village Bobby from Potten End. He had also come up the check. He said, "What have you got there?" So I said, "Well, I don't..." "Put it down," he said. "Don't touch it." So, oh, right. So I put it down, got on my red bike, and cycled back home again.
Red-faced, of course.
And red-faced, because I couldn't have my piece of shrapnel. It was a pity, but I suppose he wanted to keep everything untouched.
Of course.
And
well, there's the danger.
Indeed. And Doodlebugs didn't make a very big crater because, of course, they just landed. It was the V2s that made the great crater, because when they came on down, they really went into the ground as they exploded, and they'd make a crater 15 feet deep by 20 feet across.
So do you remember the kids during the war going around picking up bits of shrapnel?
No, I don't actually know. I did pick up one bit because we had what's it called now? An incendiary bomb
Oh yes.
Because we were very well organised actually. We moved to my aunt and uncle, my mother's mother, and her husband was related. He was Priestland, and he was actually the father of Gerald Priestland, BBC, if you possibly recall Gerald Priestland. He was my cousin. So we moved there because they'd had their house built for them because his sister was Sir Richard Cooper's wife. By sheer chance, they'd come from the Isle of Man originally, but anyway, I don't know how all that happened. But so they'd had this very nice house built called Briar, which I can possibly show you if we take you around.
So it still exists then?
Oh, it still exists, yes, and it was called Briar because they had their honeymoon in the Scilly Isles, and one of the islands is Briar.
There you go.
So anyway, that's the story of the Doodlebug.
So,
but just coming back to the house we were living in at Briarweed, they also built an air raid shelter straight away.
What, the Anderson or the
No, it was a deep.
shelter?
It was dug right down 10, 15 feet into the ground with double concrete roofs and a staircase and a turning to the right. It was in the garden of Briar.
Do you remember going into it then?
Oh, I spent night after night whenever the.
So was that late in the war, or was that
No, right
back in 1940?
In 41, yes, we went
when the
down there.
incendiaries were falling?
We all came down there, and we had to leave Granny in her bed because she couldn't be shifted. She died in 43. She couldn't walk. She was tall, so she was left in her bed.
But she survived all the bombing of the 1940s.
I was going to say that's right. And when we came back after one of the All Clear came back, and right on the porch of Briar was a lump of shrapnel. We wondered what on earth this was, and we discovered later on because Martin's pond, my paddling one, was smothered in oil. Because an incendiary bomb had landed in it and exploded, and of course they were full of oil, incendiary bombs. So, and this is a bit, but it was only 100 yards from Martin's Pond, Briar, or perhaps 150 yards. So this was just a bit of the bomb.
Going back to the Doodlebug, that actually landed. Well, you said that you rode past on your bike. You rode past your house.
Oh yes, right past. It was about 400 or 500 yards past. Beyond it, yes, on the golf course probably, and I'm afraid I can't even place exactly.
So it's probably been landscaped away now.
I think so, or it's part of a bunker on the golf course.
Oh, it's a natural bunker.
Well,
shall we say?
Well, coming back to the 14-18 war and all the trenches they practiced on there, that is what has made a terrific amount of character to Berkhamsted golf course. And it's one of the oldest golf courses in the British Isles, Berkhamsted, founded in 1890. There's not many golf courses as old as that.
No.
And so it's got a lot of character to it, and I love it. I walk around it at least twice a week. I love walking around because I've gone back to second childishness. I find golf balls, and pick blackberries because, and of course during the war, the one extra thing was rabbits.
Rabbits, yeah.
We collected rabbits. The whole of the garage was converted into rabbits, with tea chests with fun. You could buy little grill things for the front of a tea chest. We had, and I'm not exaggerating here, Greg, 100 rabbits, and we ate an awful lot. I don't like rabbit food much now because it put me off. Any more than I like rhubarb, it put me off as well. But certain things as childishness, when you're overdone with it, you get put off. So that was the story of the rabbits. And,
so it'd be fair to say that your wartime experiences were rabbits, rhubarb, eating off the land, that sort of.
And my pocket money was twopence a week, but I used to go round the golf course. And if I could find a golf ball, and in those days it would have been a Dunlop 65, because they were the golf balls. If I could find one, I would get probably threepence for it from one of the golfers. So I used to go hunting around the bracken, and I used to go on all fours through the bracken, because of course you see so much more if you're below the leave bit. So I used to find, hopefully most weeks I found the old golf ball.
So they were still playing golf.
They still played a bit of golf. There were not many people, but they were nearly all retired. Yeah. They were nearly all retired. That is right. But the other thing about her was, you've heard of General Charles de Gaulle. Well, you know he lived up there, did you, for a while?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Was that what he did? Well, of course, he did his broadcasts.
When he first came over to this country, the Free French, and he lived on the road to Ashridge in his house called Rodinghead. And the great thing is with General de Gaulle, of course, he was very local and he got involved. My uncle, Priestland, was part of the Home Guard for Potten End, which was really something important. And there was a march past of the Home Guard, I think about 41 or so, and General de Gaulle came along and took the salute as they marched past. During the 14-18 war, it was the Inns of Court, which set up in Berkhamsted as an officers' training camp. And it started off with about a few hundred and then built up, and there were 12,000 officers, all officers trained on Berkhamsted Common and living in Berkhamsted, and just over 2,000 of them were killed during the 14-18 war. There's a memorial up there for them, and there's a lot of other things. And General Kitchener, Lord Kitchener, was also there, and one of the fields at Berkhamsted is called Kitchener's Field because of that. And so there's all that story I can tell you, and I can take you around and show you the sites of where they were.
Most definitely.
And then, of course, the last war, quite a lot of troops again came out on there because it was known as a training ground. And there were, I remember, Bren gun carriers all over the place. And some of the Bren gun carriers suddenly got caught up in the deep trenches for the 14-18 war. They hadn't seen them, and they were stuck. And even one of them, I remember, tipping over on its side. And then eventually we got on top of things, but they prepared a lot of, for D-Day, a lot of them were prepared there, and also in Ashridge, all the tanks came along. And we had a church, one of the biggest tank then was the Churchill tank. Well, we had one in our drive at Briar.
Any particular reason?
It just had to stop for a night or two while they were doing their exercises. So it just stopped there, and we couldn't use the car anyway because
no petrol.
Cars, no petrol, and
couldn't get the petrol coupons.
Indeed, absolutely. So we had a Churchill tank in the driveway. You can remember all these.
Did the driveway subside a bit because of the weight?
No, not in those days. Everything was very, very tough there, with gravel and everything. So, I think, well, that was, as I said, I can't remember the Inns of Court in the First World War, of course, but I can remember most of the odd bits of the Second World War. It's fascinating seeing the troops along, and occasionally I'd get spoilt. And then, of course, the Americans came along here because of particularly not the troops, but the air forts. Bovingdon. And have you been around Bovingdon Airport?
I haven't actually.
I'll take you around it. It's on the way to. If we do our trip, I'll take you and see the old runways because it's not an active airport.
That's just useful.
But it was an enormous airport for the
catastrophe for the B-17s.
And the flying fortresses for the B-17s where they are flying, and then the Liberators and Dakotas, and we actually saw them taking off all the trailers for the D-Day, taking extra, not the gliders, what do you call it when you tow something?
Yeah, gliders, yeah.
They are gliders, yes.
The horses.
That's right, they were taken off as well, from a lot of them from Bovingdon. And because the trees hadn't grown up, from the upstairs bedroom at Briar, you could look right across over the valley, and there was Bovingdon the other side, and you could see the plains from Potten End. Now you can't see anything because it's all trees grown. And of course I was I was named locally as the British monkey.
Any particular reason? Did
Yes.
you gain a reputation?
I gained a reputation.
Heaven forbid, Charles.
Wherever Charles Bennett was, you'd see him climbing trees. He couldn't resist climbing trees. And I could climb almost any tree because I've always been incredibly agile with my arms and legs, and I didn't mind heights. And anyway, so I was named as the British monkey by everybody. And on VE Day,
May the 8th, 1945.
the phone rang at Briar, which was Berkhamsted 7-4. Not many people had telephones, and the telephone number was Berkhamsted 7-4. And is Charles there? Because you could hear these on the old red phones, you can hear them. Is Charles? Yes. Well, can he come over? We have a problem. It's the Richard Cooper. They knew me because I used to, with the connections, you see, I used to go along and play in their house, and Bull Beggars, which was the son of the other main Sir Richard, which was at Shedston Court, which is now the development place. And so he said yes. So I ran, it was only about 300 yards, I ran from Briar to Bull Beggars. I'll take you round there. Ah, good. Look. There was their 30-foot tent flagpole.
Oh.
The pulley at the top has jammed. We wanted to put the flag up, you see, because it was VE Day.
Of course.
Can you get up there and do it? So I said, of course I can. Straight on up. 30-foot flagpole, nothing to hang on to, just a flagpole. Up the top, hung with one hand, disentangled the pulley, came on down again. Well done, Charles, we knew you could do that, and that's it. Off you go. So, the British monkey, one of his latest performances.
Was helping the flag be erected on VE Day.
And they could get it straight up, and that's right, which they were very upset because there was nothing they could do about it, other than bring the whole flagpole down, and you can't do that really, because they'd have never put it up again. I mean, it was put up in the 30s. Probably from when Bull Beggars was built. There you are, so the British monkey performed. But whenever I went out anywhere and visited people, if they had got trees, I'd climb up them, and in the middle of the meal, and I'd be hanging on and so on. Right, that's enough of me. I'm sure you've had enough.
No, that was excellent. Thank you very much, Charles.